Hi, I'm Lights Camera Jackson, and welcome to LCJ Live. It's Sunday, August 13, 2023. Happy Sunday. Happy fourth week in a row with Barbie on top. 33.7 million. It's over half a billion domestically. 526.3. We're about, 8 or 9 million away from it passing The Dark Knight to be the biggest movie for Warner Brothers of the 21st century domestically. Wow. What an accomplishment for a studio that's needed it, because all the other movies that it has released so far this year have not done well, from The Flash to Shazam. Evil Dead Rise made a little money, and Meg 2 is making a little money, but not nearly what the first Meg made back in 2018. So yeah, Barbie on top once again, 33.7. It's at 526.3. And number two, once again, back at number two, is Oppenheimer with $18.8 million. Last weekend it was number three. So Oppenheimer went from 3 to 2, added 18.8. It's at 264.3. Check this out. It only needs another $15.5 million to pass Meet the Fockers to become the biggest non-Illumination, non-Fast and Furious, and non-Jurassic World movie of the 21st century for Universal, and to make it onto Universal's 10 biggest movies of the century list. Wow. Oppenheimer. I don't think anybody saw this coming, especially at Universal. They thought, all right, maybe this movie will make some money. It's a Christopher Nolan movie. But to go from Warner Brothers, where Christopher Nolan was for a couple decades, switch studios to Universal, and now make history with this movie, that is big time. 264.3. It will make a run at 300 million total, because it could have some more legs over the next few weekends into Labor Day weekend, maybe even get a theatrical re-release during the awards season. So Oppenheimer back at number two. And now moving on up from number 4 last weekend to number 3 this weekend, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem added 15.8 million. It's at 72.8. Obviously, it's going to pass the 82 million total of the last Ninja Turtles movie Paramount released, Out of the Shadows, from 2016. But it's not going to come close to the 191 million of the live-action animated big budget. Megan Fox was in it. Will Arnett was in it. Reboot from 2014. 191 for that was a lot in summer 2014. We're at 72.8. You know, I'd like to see this get to 100. I think it will. Speaking of animation, a couple other headlines this weekend. Number 1, Elemental passes 150 million domestically for Disney and Pixar. 5 times its opening weekend. That is rare. That is big. And Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse doubled what Into the Spider-Verse made. The first Spider-Verse, 190. We're at 380 for this new Spider-Verse. So congratulations to Sony on that. Doubling. That is also rare for animation, to double what the previous installment made. So then we got Meg 2 The Trench, which dropped from 2nd to 4th this weekend. Added 12.7 million. It's at 54.1. As I said, the first Meg made 145. Big drop from 30 down to 12.7. You know, maybe it'll do okay through Labor Day, but maybe won't pass 75, 80. I mean, it's not a lot, but the 30 million was an okay start for it last weekend. Jason Statham and Warner Brothers. Now, Universal released a new movie this weekend called The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which is about Dracula, a chapter of Dracula. Not a lot of people were interested in seeing this. Just $6.5 million. As I wrote the other day, if you're wondering why Universal released that August 11th and Strays is coming out this coming weekend, August 18th, why back-to-back? You could, stretch your movies out a little. There are 2 reasons for this. Number 1, Strays was delayed from June 9 to August 18. And number 2, Christopher Nolan had in his clause for Oppenheimer in his deal that Universal could not release a movie in the 3 weeks before and the 3 weeks after, or basically the 20 days before and the 20 days after Oppenheimer. So The Last Voyage of the Demeter opened in the first possible day that it could open for Universal this summer, based on the Christopher Nolan Oppenheimer deal. And when Strays had to move from June 9 to August 18, they had to work around that. They could not release Strays on July 7 or July 14 or July 28 or August 4. They had to go to August 18 because of Christopher Nolan. I'm going to think that whether Christopher Nolan stays at Universal for his next movie or goes back to Warner Brothers or goes elsewhere, he's going to want that 3-week thing in his clause again. And we will see if the studios abide by that. Looking at the results, maybe they will. So next up is Haunted Mansion, which added $5.6 million. It's at $52.9. I guess it'll get over 60 for Disney, but not a big movie by any means. This movie is going to benefit from being on Disney Plus for Halloween, and that's probably where it will get the most attention that it'll have over the course of its viewing run. Talk to Me moved up from 8th place to 7th place this weekend, added $5.1 million. It's at $31.3. It's the 5th biggest movie ever for A24. You've got Everything Everywhere All at Once, Uncut Gems, Lady Bird, and Hereditary. Now, Hereditary made $44 million, and we're at $31.3 for Talk to Me. At this point, I don't think Talk to Me is going to make another $13 million, so it will probably stay as the 5th biggest, but still, that's a major accomplishment for a movie that had such a low budget. Opened at $10 million, has already made $31, and will keep making money, and a sequel is on the way. Talk to Me is coming. So, yeah, Talk to Me is a big hit for A24 this year. The studio's next biggest movie, Past Lives, did about 10.5, 11 million, but this is big, 31.3, and it's still making money. Made more money this weekend than Sound of Freedom, which added 4.8 million. It's at 172.8, and Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, which added 4.7 million. It's at 159.6. It is now the highest grossing movie of the year for Paramount domestically, passing Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, but it's still 35 million less than Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation from 2015. The other two recent installments, Ghost Protocol made 209, Fallout made 220. We're still 35 million below Rogue Nation. Wow. Paramount, we'll have to see. We've got Part 2 coming, but what about beyond that? How much more will Part 2 make versus Part 1? Will it make more than Part 1? That will be very interesting to see. And rounding out your top 10 this weekend is a movie called Jailer, which made $2.3 million. Now, other movies that opened this weekend included Jules, this sci-fi dramedy with Ben Kingsley. Didn't open in a lot of theaters. Don't have the box office for it yet, but coming soon, shortly, to toofast2films.com. Mike Sargent and I review Jules. We also review Heart of Stone, the new action movie with Gal Gadot on Netflix. That'll be up soon at toofast2films.com. Also opened this weekend, Gran Turismo. Now, it was originally supposed to open officially nationwide this weekend and may have come in second place. But Sony decided just a couple weeks ago, here's what we're going to do. We're going to sneak the movie in premium formats this weekend and this weekend coming up, the 18th, and then go wide officially on the 25th, which is kind of crowded. There are a decent number of movies opening on the 25th. But that's the strategy that Sony Columbia wants to go for. So we don't have the box office results on how it's done this weekend. But you've got multiple showings per day, per theater, per format for Gran Turismo. I say it technically opened this weekend. It would be cool if Sony released how well it did this weekend and next weekend. And if it ended up in the top 10, if it made more than 2.3 million, maybe it didn't make more than 2.3 million to get in the top 10. But it would be interesting to find out that info. Or is Sony going to take all the money from this weekend, all the money from next weekend, and add on the Thursday showings for Gran Turismo and basically say, here's what the previous showings made? And it could be this gigantic number that kind of inflates what Gran Turismo's really done. That's probably what's going to happen. I think this is a movie that is going to do well. It is a fun movie. It's an exciting movie. It's a crowd pleaser. It's got a ton of sports cliches in it, but you know what? It doesn't matter when it's so compelling. The sound work is so good, and the racing scenes are exciting. Neil Blomkamp is back as a director, and David Harbour gives a career best performance. And Orlando Bloom is good in it too. So I recommend you go see Gran Turismo. There are showings of it today. There are showings of it again next Friday, Saturday, Sunday before it officially goes wide. Go see Gran Turismo. Interesting, worth noting as well, Sound of Freedom and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny basically are neck and neck right now. I think Sound of Freedom may have even made more money total now than Indiana Jones. What an accomplishment. Some of the big summer hits and the year hits, when people talk about the surprise hits of the year, absolutely Sound of Freedom, absolutely Talk to Me. Now we go to this weekend, and you've got two big movies. They're going to battle it out for number one and battle Barbie to maybe take down Barbie. Your big contender is Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is a Warner Brothers DC movie, so there are going to be a lot of people who are curious to see it. Now, what does a lot of people mean? Does it mean just $30 million worth, which is what Shazam opened to earlier this year? Or does it mean more than that? Or does it mean less than that? If Blue Beetle opens to 30 million, which I think it will do, unless it's a complete flop and goes under 20, which if it goes under 20, Warner's just going to go, oh my gosh. But I could see Blue Beetle opening to 30 million, Barbie dropping maybe to 21, and then Strays is a wild card. I have not seen what a website like Box Office Pro has projected for Strays. The movie, I can't really share opinion on it, but what I will say is, because the review embargo is still for a couple days, what I will say is, and I'm trying to find the long-term forecast. Okay, there it is. What I will say about Strays is this. I have talked to the director, Josh Greenbaum. Great guy. We had a fun conversation. He grew up near where I live, Saratoga Springs, New York. And we talked about Strays. We talked about the animation, voice acting aspects, working with real dogs. There are surprise cameos in the movie. We don't spoil them, but we talk about them without naming the people. And we talk about one of the summer's wildest movies. I will say it is one of the summer's wildest movies, as you can probably guess from the trailers. How much money will it make? BoxOfficePro.com is currently saying, if I can scroll up and find it, 14 to 21 million. That's actually, that 21 is a little higher than I thought they were going to say. Well, if Strays can make $21 million next weekend, then it could battle Barbie for number two. Oppenheimer will go down to maybe 12. But that would be interesting. And right now they're saying for Blue Beetle, 20 to 27 million. Not even saying 30 at this point. Wow. I mean, I will be surprised if Blue Beetle loses to week 5 of Barbie, but I guess you never know. And if they're saying 20 and Strays, wow. Maybe Strays makes more than Blue Beetle. I personally, I don't see that happening. I see Blue Beetle making more money this weekend. Weekend 2, yeah, Blue Beetle could have a huge drop after the DC fans go week 1. But I will say Blue Beetle with 30. I will say Barbie with 22. I will say Strays with 16, and Oppenheimer with 12, and Ninja Turtles will make another 9. That's what I'm thinking as of right now. But who knows? We could see a surprise number one. It would be fun if Strays won the weekend. That would be fun. If you want that conversation with Josh Greenbaum, go to lights-camera-jackson.com. It's in the podcast section. Also at Podbean at lcj.podbean.com. And the animation aspects we talk about over at animationscoop.com. Brian and Charlie Video, Lights, do you think anything coming in 2024 can top Barbie's box office earnings? Well, Barbie's at 526.3, and we've had Mario, the biggest movie of the year so far, at, 574, I think? So Barbie's 50 million away from that, from becoming the biggest movie of the year, and I think it'll make a run at that. As far as next year, oh gosh, what's coming next year? I haven't focused that far ahead, but I think it will be tough to beat. This Barbenheimer phenomenon is rare, and theaters and movie studios will try it again. Just looking at next summer. Look, if these movies come out next summer, I mean, if the actors' strike keeps going and going and going, which is the way it's going, then a lot of these movies, like Deadpool 3, are going to get delayed. Deadpool 3 is the first one that popped into my head because I believe it's the one that kicks off next summer. Planet of the Apes will do okay, but it won't make Barbie money. It'll try to make the kind of money that it made for the last ones. Inside Out 2 could make a lot of money. Maybe not $500 million, though, domestically. Despicable Me 4, the last one didn't do as well as the others. It only did 265, Despicable Me 3. But the Minions movie made a lot more than that. But $500 million? Domestically? That might be tough unless inflation just keeps going up, 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 up. Venom will make a little money. If the Captain America movie comes out, 350, 400, maybe, unless it does more than that. I mean, Guardians made 359. I'm just looking at August. I don't think I missed it. Yeah, and they moved Kraven the Hunter all the way to next August. My gosh. I don't think I'm missing too much here. Mission Impossible we talked about. So it might be tough. Might be tough till we get another Avatar. Yeah. Barbie's made a lot of money. 526. Yeah. So you've got Blue Beetle and Strays as your big theatrical releases next weekend, along with more sneaks of Gran Turismo. But at home, you've got The Monkey King, which is this new animated feature on Netflix from Oscar-nominated director Anthony Stacchi, who co-directed The Box Trolls. If you want my conversation with him, it's also in the podcast section. Lights-camera-jackson.com, animationscoop.com, and lcj.podbean.com. And tomorrow, you get a new podcast episode, an Animation Scoop Q&A, with Craig Schultz, the son of Charles Schultz, the creator of Peanuts, and Raymond S. Percy, the director of this new Peanuts special on Apple TV Plus premiering this Friday called Snoopy Presents One-of-a-Kind Marcy. It's a nice special on Marcy and Snoopy and Charlie Brown. That's why I've got them here with me today. And so you can get that new interview tomorrow. And later this week, a new AnimationScoop.com Q&A with Robin Budd, the Emmy-winning director of this new animated short film called Jelly. And he also did the Beetlejuice animated series and the Peter Pan movie Return to Neverland. So that is coming later this week as well. Brian and Charlie video, Anthony Stacchi's a really good guy. It was a great conversation with him. I talked with him for The Box Trolls in 2014. Nice speaking with him again about The Monkey King, this action movie with wild, just imaginative, insane action sequences. Kids are going to go, oh my gosh, when watching this movie, The Monkey King, starting Friday on Netflix. This Snoopy Marcy special is very nice on Apple TV Plus. So you've got new at-home viewing with those, and in theaters, Blue Beetle and Strays. Strays is rated R, don't forget. And it's got the star power of Will Ferrell and Jamie Foxx, which I think will bring some people into the theaters. And when we're back here next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern, we'll see what happens. Will Blue Beetle be number one? Will Strays be number one? Or will Barbie be number one? We'll break it all down. Plus, the wide release is coming out on the 25th, including Gran Turismo, Golda, starring Helen Mirren, Retribution, starring Liam Neeson, Vacation Friends 2, which is on Hulu, and The Hill, starring Dennis Quaid. Yeah, we will preview all of those movies and more. Thank you for watching today's episode of LCJ Live here on YouTube, youtube.com/lightscamerajackson. Subscribe. Go to Twitter at LCJ Reviews. It's called X now, I guess, too. Instagram at LightsCamJackson. Facebook, LightsCameraJackson. And the website, lights-camera-jackson.com. Thank you for watching LCJ Live. Appreciate it. Have a good Sunday. We'll see you next time for more. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.